Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another at Ping edition here, a little nighttime version. We've got a few questions coming in from people. Let's get to it. First one says, hey Ping, I know you have a day job and it's pretty badass in its own right, but I've always thought you are very articulate and knowledgeable and obviously very hooked up with the key players in the sport, in the moto world. Would you ever consider a career in broadcasting races? I think you would be really good at the commentary and background side of things. Morley. Actually, Morley, well, thanks for the letter, first of all, and I appreciate the nice words. Pretty cool of you to say. And I did get into broadcasting a little bit. Back in 06, I did color commentary for the Outdoor Nationals. It was on OLN at the time. But if you get on YouTube and type in anything from 06, I think one of the most memorable races from that year, there were a lot. Big crash from Stewart at High Point that year. But the mud race at Millville where Ricky lapped the entire field. So there's some memorable races that year, and I was doing the color with Brian Dreber. God rest his soul, he's passed away since then, but I loved it. I actually had a lot of fun doing it. I listen back now and I hate it. I wish I could go back and get another crack at it, because there's just so many things I've learned about voice inflection and different things on camera since then. You know, the more you do it, like anything, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And when I listen back now, there's a lot of stuff I wish I could have done better, but it was fun. But I never really considered it. I kind of got warned from David Bailey that, hey, you know, this is a cutthroat business. They'll use you until they don't want you and you're gone, so just be careful. And frankly, the only job that pays anything is Supercross. The Nationals they just don't pay a lot. At least they didn't back then. I think it is better now. But Supercross, they want national champions. They think that if you're not a Supercross champ, you can't do a good job. I think that's a huge mistake on their part. Not every Supercross champion is a good commentator. Just because you won 100 titles does not make you the right person for television. Terry Bradshaw is great, and he was a legendary quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks who would be terrible at that job, right? So it takes the right person, I think. And in my personal opinion, I'd rather see a guy who's just good at the job, regardless of his racing credentials. I think Daniel Blair does an amazing job and would be great in the booth, but he doesn't have the credentials, and so I don't know that he'll ever get a look. I hope I'm wrong, but just knowing what I know, I'm not sure that he will. I also don't like to travel. I would never give up the jobs that I have now to do that. So I'm just not gonna get into it for those reasons. Even though I do think it's fun, I wish there was something I could jump in and just do like one-off stuff here and there, because I think I could have a lot of fun with it and contribute something that I think some people couldn't. So anyway, Morley, I appreciate the letter. Thanks for writing that in, man. Next one is a pretty simple one here. It says, Ping, I've heard you say that the MX53-33 combo is your favorite tires. What pressure do you run at local SoCal tracks? This is from Straight Time Stirrups. Very strange name. Yeah, the MX53-33 Dunlop tire setup is my favorite combo. 33 in the rear, 53 in the front. And I run them at 12 pounds. I set them at 12 cold, and they usually bump up to 12 and a half, 13. I don't like them. Some folks run like a higher PSI, like 13, especially on the 33. But I like them lower. I like them to flex a little bit. I would say probably 12 and a half is the perfect spot. But I always set them at 12 because I know they're going to increase a little bit. I'm not using nitrogen. I just, outside of professional race teams, I don't think a lot of people do. Nitrogen doesn't bump up as temperatures increase, but just using ambient air will quite a bit. Actually, if you come in off the track and check your tire pressure, you're going to be shocked to see how much it goes up. So anyway, set it at 12 is my recommendation, and then don't let it go above 12 and a half. Usually once it warms up, if you check it then and set it, it'll stay good for the rest of your day. Yeah, so anyway, that was it. Appreciate that one. And then finally, this one comes in from Caddy Jim, Caddy, not like caddy, like meow. It says, Ping, what's your opinion on letting 250 2-strokes race in the 250 class in the US? Fans would love it, and it would help smaller teams and privateers be competitive. Man, couldn't agree more. I've talked about this a few different times. I think it's just a travesty they don't allow that. They've done it in Canada, they've done it in different places, and it works. Australia's done it. I still think that the highest level teams, you know, Pro Circuit, Star Yamaha, Gas KG, they're going to run their 250Fs. They're not going to drop down and ride their 2-strokes. But if you had a team like whoever, Rock River, or, you know, if they wanted to field a 250 guy, how much cheaper would it be? How much more competitive would those guys be on a YZ250? For very little money, you can get some head and cylinder work done, pipe and silencer, throw in a reed block. The only change they would have to make is to allow some fuel, you know, like do some changes to the fuel or let them run certain things that in the past they might not have been able to. And you'd have a bike that could probably make more horsepower than even those top race teams, but it's in this narrow little window, so it's still going to be more difficult to ride. Okay, so it would let those guys get good starts. It would let them be able to be competitive on a much smaller budget, and it's not going to put anybody out of business. It's not going to, you know, change what folks are going after, but you're going to have a huge help to those teams or privateers who right now, let's face it, if you're a privateer going out there on a 250F with, you know, just a few bolt-on mods, you're going to get your ass kicked. I'm sorry, you're not even going to be in the ballpark. But this would allow those folks to be competitive in terms of power. They are harder to ride. It wouldn't be an advantage on the track. You'd have to definitely ride it harder. But then think of the fans that would get behind that. You know, we've seen a few of them this year pop up, and they're fan favorites. People love it. They can't get enough of it. So I think for the promoters, for the teams, just for the sport all around, it's a great idea. And I know they're worried about offending Honda and Suzuki and Kawasaki who don't make them. Come on, you know, you're not going to have the entire field running them. It's going to be some spots here and there. That's it. It's going to add to the show. It's not going to detract. Honda's not going to say, oh, well, if you're going to do that, we're not racing. They're not doing that. You know, their guys are still going to go out and be at the front. So it's a little frustrating to me that we can't even get a look at that. I think that that's a big miss on the promoter's part, indoors and out. And hopefully down the road that will change, but I wouldn't hold your breath, just knowing what I know. Again, about how they feel, and they're very sensitive about upsetting manufacturers, and I think that they believe that will. So anyway, I appreciate it. Hey, remember, you can always send in videos, man. I love to see people's faces. Just makes it a little more personal. You can also send a voice note if you feel you're too ugly for video, and some people have actually come out and said that. I'd send you a video, but I'm too ugly for video. Send us a voice note. We can at least play your voice, and then we'll respond. So anyway, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.